What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Two Lost Conversations. This is where we take some of the dopest, most interesting artists on the Two Lost platform and dive into their career a little bit, ask them some questions, figure out how they're moving, what's frustrating them, what's working. We just want to know everything because the life of an independent artist is tough. As I'm sure Kinrose, he's smiling right now, but it's not all smiles all the time, is it? Anyway, I got my guest today is Kinrose, man. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
For those that don't know, just give yourself a brief background info on who Kinrose is. I saw you describe yourself as earthy, effervescent. Where does that come from? To give us a little background.
Yeah, I'm sure that probably was a bio somewhere. But so yeah, I'm from Kinrose County, Maryland. I really started releasing music back in 2021. Since then, it's been great. It's been a gift, honestly, and I'm loving it. But I think the earthiness just kind of comes from my upbringing, just being with very earthy people. My mom's a Taurus, so I think that's where it grounded me early on, and I guess it just stuck with me. So that's probably where that piece came from.
Okay. So what made you decide to get into music and take things serious in 2021? What was happening?
Yeah, so, off the cusp of COVID and everything, during that time, I was able to actually just lock in and start being serious about writing. I had always written to myself, I would record things here and there with friends. And I think 2021, I made a big move from the DMV to Atlanta. And I just thought it was time. I was just like, I just feel like I'm at that stage now where this is something I want to put out into the world. So that's kind of like how it all came about in 2021.
Okay. And to be honest with you, man, like I think you've had, since it's only been 3 years, maybe less than 3 years, like you've had, a good amount of success already, starting to get some traction. You got a song that hit 7 million, streams on Spotify. What's that? The Profile song, right?
Yep, this Profile.
Now, for that one, was there anything different that you did with that song, or did that you were just consistent putting out music and it just popped? That a lot of times that's what happens. Artists don't really know what the deal was. It just,
Yeah, you know what it was? I feel like everything kind of came to a head. When I released my first string of singles in 2021, that was something that came out of being in that kind of COVID bunker, and I was just like in my own little world and making stuff, and I would send it to my friend Keith, who's an engineer, and so we would kind of just work, online together. And when Profile came about, I was actually working just on an EP when I moved down here to Atlanta, and my friend Keith also moved down to Atlanta, so we were working together and we would have recording sessions a lot. And Profile was one of those ones that we felt like really strong about going into it. At this state, we were still kind of making music for the people we knew with hopes that someone else would also like it too. So once we put it out, I won't say we knew it was going to do what it did, but we had a strong feeling that at least it's going to make it was going to make its rounds amongst the people we did know. So when we started doing this thing, we were just, of course, really excited about it.
So when you saw that song started getting traction, was there anything that you went back to and like, oh, we need to do a visual for this or put some more promotion behind it? When you saw it pop a little bit, how did you circle back and support it, put more fuel on the fire?
Yeah, drove back up to the DMV, shot some videos with my guy Yusuf, and we shot some visuals and a video for it. And then, just, try to keep it up on the marketing standpoint, make sure we had enough posts behind it. And that's when I made my first TikTok account, it was when Profile came out and started making my rounds there. So I was very new to everything. I didn't even have at the time probably like 700 Instagram followers. I didn't have a TikTok account. Like Twitter I'm still not really active on. So it all kind of came and still coming to me on how to market myself. Because it's a whole different world. Once you start getting into that side of music, before it was just something to get creativity flowing and something I enjoy doing with friends. And it still is that. And I'm thankful for that. But now, as you know, it's just a big part of sometimes you couldn't feel stuck, once that song's out, what do I do now? So it's trying to get that structure, trying to make sure that we have visuals for it and content to go with it. And at the beginning, it was like, oh, it's stressful. But I think more now than ever, I'm just trying to like have fun with it now. I'm trying to see it as something that's fun more than a task to do or a job to do. It's just something I do in tandem with it. And that's how I'm going to have energy behind it moving forward.
Yeah, a lot of times you just don't know what songs are going to pop. You have no control over it. What you can control is like your consistency. Some are going to be singles, some are going to be doubles, triples, home runs, grand slams. You just don't know. But as long as you're stacking quality music, stack your catalog, and then when you do get a blip in the radar, circle back and figure out like how you can, like we said, put more fuel on the fire. I
think that's the biggest part for me now is like back catalog. I'm cool with the slow game. You know what I mean? Like some people are going to blow up overnight. Some people it's just going to be over time. So I'm cool with building that catalog out and just making sure it's strong. So whenever that moment happens, we got something to back it up.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about this on my other podcast that we do, because a lot of times, in order to really grow a profitable catalog that people, because you want people to stream your music for a long time to come. I mean, there's a lot of artists that put out trendy songs, but ain't nobody going to be listening to those in 3 years, 2 years, maybe even a year. So the decay in those in those streams tails off so quickly. If somebody valued your catalog, it would be at a very low value because those streams aren't going to hold up. If you build community and you put out quality songs over a longer period of times, like those streams they may not reach, the 10 million, but you're going to get a consistent 50,000 every month, and it's not going to decay as much.
Yes.
And that's a valuable catalog. So what was the move to Atlanta, like music based, or were you going down there anyway?
I want to say it was just kind of following my own little internal community. You know what I mean? Like I said, my boy Keith moved down here. A couple of our other friends did. And I just moved down here with my lady, so we all came through at the same time.
That's probably what it was. That the real reason always comes out at the end.
It was just following my folks, following everyone who keeps me going personally. So
Dope. So how have you found it? Because I'm in LA. A lot of people come to LA where there's already a lot of creatives. Sometimes that's a positive. Some people might view it as more of a challenge. Atlanta, same way. There's a shitload of artists. There's already a community there. You're coming from the outside. Have you been able to kind of find your footing? I know you already kind of have your smaller community, but has a larger community embraced you, or other folks that were already there? How's it been so far?
I've had, I would say support from the mutuals that we've kind of gathered from just being in individual circles. And that's definitely helped get like my foot out there. I need to continue it though. In the same time, I came down here pretty much new to being an artist. I'm still kind of new to navigating that scene too. So I don't think it's anything specific to Atlanta, but more so me as a person being able to start interjecting myself into these places more. That's something I want to do more of while I'm here. So. Yeah.
I mean, coming to a new city, you really have to be proactive in finding your tribe, because there's going to be people that probably ain't on the up and up, and there's going to be people that are solid. You just got to find your group of people. Yeah. What do you feel like is your biggest challenge right now as an independent artist?
Yeah, I guess it would be probably that piece on when something out. What do you do, right? And I think being able to again count on the friends that I have help that, because I'm able to have my own internal like focus group. I'm able to count on a group of people who know who I am, what I'm comfortable with, and what I'm looking for, so that once we do go to market things, it's always true to me. And I think that's something I struggle with, is like, how do I engage people in ways that is still true to me, but also engaging? You know what I mean? Like, what's the hook of me? Has been like the biggest part. So it's trying to get out that narrative, I guess.
Yeah.
is what's big for me.
So that, I mean, I think that's crucial to just have a team that you can, I'm assuming you bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of folks just kind of have, if they have anybody, you know, they might have some yes men around that don't
Exactly.
they don't really challenge anything. They just kind of let the artist do what the artist wants to do. And a lot of times those decisions aren't in the best interest of that artist. So it sounds like you got a nice crew of folks that you trust and they give good ideas.
Yeah, I would say so. I think we're all creative in different ways, in many ways, you know, and that really helps go the distance of like being able to get yourself out of those moments of when you feel stifled, you know. Like I would say since I moved down here, I no longer have any problems with writer's block. Like it doesn't exist for me anymore. And I would say I attribute that to like that communal experience that I have. Not that they like help me directly with writing, but that like working with them in different creative spaces is now making me just involved in creativity all the time to the point where I always have something to say, you know?
Yeah.
So it's been really helpful. Yeah.
I feel like if you got writer's block today, you just need to go outside and live because I mean, you got Chat GPT that can give you like the structure of a song. I don't know if you've ever, have you turned to AI for anything?
Nah, I haven't turned to actually, I did try one time to help me structure out a meal plan.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, and to be honest with you, as an artist, I feel like if I was an artist, I would use every tool to my advantage. And I'm not saying I would let ChatGPT write a song in its entirety, you know, but maybe you do go to ChatGPT just to, you know, spark an idea. And you still have to, I would use it as a tool and infuse yourself, overlay yourself onto it so that whatever comes out at the end is still you, still authentic. But there's a lot of support and help, you know, from a technology standpoint that artists can lean into if they're feeling stuck. I don't see nothing wrong with that.
I don't see nothing wrong with it. I think, especially like you said, like some people might not be fortunate enough to have those folks where they can like lean on and they're stuck in a different way, right? And I think art is communal when it's out into the world, you know, so why not share that creation with someone else in its inception? And if that's you needing to rely on a tool to do that, to kind of get you there, then that's what you got to do. Sure.
Hey, if the music's great, like the fans, the real fans ain't gonna challenge you. They're not gonna be like, you know, in the same way that like some artists will say like, oh man, I did the beat, I wrote the lyrics, I mixed and mastered it, I did everything. Like, you know, you might win some points with a few people here and there for that, but at the end of the day, does the music slap or does it not? You know, are we vibing with the music or are we not?
I feel like sometimes for me personally, like in the past, when I used to make stuff purely on like my lonesome, like it missed some things, you know, like you could hear it and you'd be like, it sounds nice, but like it's missing something. And I think you kind of like don't allow yourself to grow fully as a creative person if you don't involve someone else on that journey with you, because someone's always going to have something else to bring to the table, right, that you're not thinking of. And I just think that that's so important. And I know as rappers, as writers, you know, we want to be able to say, I did this on my lonely, I did this on my lonesome, like it was no one but me. But like, and when it really comes down to it, like you kind of need people, like, and I feel like it'll come across, I think, sometimes in the music. Like I said, for me early on, it was always something missing. And now more than ever, I feel better about what I'm putting out because I have more people looking at it, working with me on it, and I love it.
Yeah, it identify blind spots, a lot of, you know, like you said, and even if you are talented enough to like put together a body of work that's amazing and you did it all yourself, it's 10 times as hard to continue to evolve by yourself. You know, because typically you'll go back to the same sounds, and then album 2 will sound like album 1, and then that's what you'll hear. But like, you know, he's cool, but he only has a certain lane with his production because he's limited. It's hard to like evolve and do everything yourself, you know, as trends change, sounds change, things like that. So, but yeah. So what does this year look like for you? What's a successful 2024? What you got on the vision board?
Successful 2024, I think, is honestly kind of taking a step back I think 2022 is when I dropped Profile, which was like, you know, my biggest song at this point. 2023, I followed up with an EP called Bouquet that it didn't like do crazy numbers in the first year it was out, but the top of this year, it started getting more streams than ever. And it kind of like gave me this thing of like going back to what we started off with like back catalog, like, okay, if I could just put out the music that I'm confident in, that I know sounds good, it'll stand, hopefully, you know, the test of time in a way, you know, and people will be able to find it later, even if they're not hip to me now. Once they are, they'll have something to dive into and be like, man, like, this is what's up. Like, this is actually a full, like, artist with a catalog that I can continue to play, and I'm always find something different. And that's what I want. I want to keep creating that because I just feel like it's so important to be able to have that to count on. And it helps me because I'm not like going to chase that Profile moment or whatever that moment was. You know, I'm just going to continue to make good music, and continue to be grounded. So
yeah, no, I think that, you know, the artists that I like, you know, they tend to have like just a consistency. And I think that's the challenge for a lot of independent artists, whether it's a lack of resources, whether it's not having this team around. Like I think of an artist like Blast. I listen to Blast a lot. Like I could go to Spotify. I could go to Spotify, put on the This Is Blast channel, and just let it rock. You know, through the whole workout because he's so consistent, in my opinion. Yeah. So that's what I look for, is just kind of consistency. And it's like, okay, that song was dope, but what about the next one? And if there's too big of a drop off in terms of quality, I'm like, oh, he or she not ready yet. You know, they're not. So I might select a few songs, put it in a playlist, but you know, it's a challenge. You know, it definitely is a challenge. If you could change anything about the music industry right now, you snap your fingers, boom, it's done. What would you change?
What would I change? I don't know. You know what? I almost like would want to go back or see what it was like to be an artist in a world without like constant social media and streaming. Like I wonder what that was like. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it had its own set of challenges. You know, now you can reach anyone and everyone at all times. But I do wonder, you know, if kind of funneling through the noise, of course, I think will be even a lot harder now. And then back then, it's kind of like you had to rely on major resources in order to even command attention. But I do kind of wonder, you know, if I could do a reset, I would love to see how everything kind of pans out for me, you know. Back then in that space, I would love to see it. So
well, the label that we started in 2008, and that was, you know, we still had MySpace, and then Facebook was getting more popular. So we had social media. I'm not that old from a time that we didn't have social media, but you know, really, I think it just comes down to the same thing, no matter what era of music you're in terms of building that community and finding fans. I think the negatives back then were definitely, you know, it costs more to create.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Costs more to create videos. The platforms that you needed access to get exposure, there was gatekeeping. So you had to rely more so on, you know, the blogs rocking with you. So that if the blog's not really rocking with you, it was going to be hard, you know, to build significant traction. So there's definitely different types of challenges. You know, since I've been in the music industry, and I look at it as like, okay, you have, you know, the CD era, and then you went to downloads. Then you kind of had like, it's kind of like the MySpace era and the blog era, and then streaming, and now TikTok. I don't know where I would want to live. I think it just depends on your strengths and weaknesses. But at the end of the day, it really just comes down to, you know, putting out great quality music consistently and building your community, interacting and engaging with your super fans and providing different experiences for those folks. Mm-hmm. But speaking of community, is there how do you like to best engage with the folks that are really rocking with you? Do you lean to Instagram more? Do you have a special platform where you interact with just your core art, you know, your super fans? Like how are you moving?
I used to do TikTok live a lot. I would go in there a lot, and it was nice to engage with people. And it would be cool because sometimes they might not even follow me, but they listen to my music and they just happen to see me while they were scrolling. So they hop in and kind of talk with me a little bit. And I want to get to the point where I continue that open line of communication, because I'm just a regular person and I don't want to ever let it get to my head. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I want to always be approachable. So TikTok Live was a big one for me. Instagram too. Like sometimes I'll get like random DM requests to be like, yo, I rock with the music. So I try to make sure I respond to those and tell them how appreciative I am. And Instagram comments too. I think those are probably the biggest ones. And then what's on my radar now is just trying to become a better performer so that once I go out, I can give people the show that they're looking for and be able to make those connections in person too. So those are like the ways I want to do that.
One piece of advice I'm going to give you that I give to every independent artist. I think that all artists should have some type of branded series that you do on a consistent basis, right? Okay. So whether it's weekly, daily, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever it is, you just said you're a regular guy. So, maybe your series is regular Wednesdays where you're on live, when you're on live doing something regular, but maybe you're also rapping or something, something that's like tells the story that people can start to get familiar with, that people can start to get, start to look forward to on a regular basis, and then eventually, if the name requires it, maybe that turns into a merch idea. I just feel like a branded piece of content that happens consistently that your fans learn to identify you with is so valuable, in my opinion. So I don't know if you have something like that already, or if it's something for the team to brainstorm, but just a piece of advice.
Nah, definitely something to brainstorm, and I appreciate that because it goes back into us talking about one of my biggest things right now, which is how to create that narrative piece so people who I am, and doing that through content would be great, right? Because I'm being creative, but also truthful at the same time. I had a small series before where I did like a tight beat series where I would take a tight beat, but like make my own thing to it, right? And that was like the closest thing I had to like a consistent, like structured content release. And we would do that like weekly. It kind of died down a little bit, but I could bring that back in addition too.
It's really just thinking about the story you're trying to tell and what you want people to know about you, and how can you give this piece of content those characteristics to tell that story, Well, dope, man. Is there anything else that we should know about Kinrose before we get out of here? What, is it anything you got coming up? Any special experience that you had you've only been in this for 3 years, bro. You gotta lock in, because it's gonna be, hopefully you have a very long career.
I'm just grateful to be here, man. It's been awesome to see my hometown show love to like my family, my friends, people growing up, and new people who just found out about me through the music back home. So shout out PG, and I just want to make sure that the success I do make, I bring it back home. So that's pretty much it.
So that's dope that you coming from a supportive city and not a hater city. Sometimes it takes, them to see other people rocking with you before they claim you. I've seen that a lot. It's like, oh, okay, they got hella fans everywhere else. Okay, now we'll support them.
Yeah, we got those too, but I'm gonna convert them.
Dope, man. I definitely enjoyed this conversation, man. This has been another episode of Two Lost Conversation. Kinrose, when's the next music? So I know you said you're taking a step back, but when's the next drop? Hopefully it's on Two Lost as well.
Oh yeah. Y'all can look for it in the next month or so. It'll be out.
Oh, next month. So you're not taking a step back. We still okay, for sure. Can we get the title?
I'll give you one that's called Too Far.
Okay, Too Far, for sure. All right, man. Again, thank you for being here. Another episode of Two Lost Conversations. See y'all next time. Peace.